Hip-hop is the music genre I probably have the most exposure to in my life, with me growing up on a selection of artists spanning from coast to coast. Artists such as Outkast, Kanye West, Pharrell, Snoop Dogg, Tupac, 50 Cent, Lauryn Hill, and Lupe Fiasco were in constant rotation throughout most of my childhood in the early to late 2000s, and this left a huge impact on my musical palette. I love the way you were able to tap into and experience a narrative through these musicians that would put you in a type of mentality, music ranging from party anthems at the family gatherings to braggadocious summer jams to the condensation of years of environmental and social struggle. This genre really spoke to me in ways that I could really relate to. But later into the 2000s, an artist grabbed me through the radio in a way not many others had, sonically leaving me with something absolutely unique with a blending of various genres and expressing the need to pursue something more in life. This song I would absolutely love anytime it would come on the radio, and it would cement itself in my childhood memory as a song that was at the peak of happiness in my life. Only later would I rediscover the song and truly appreciate what the artist was saying on the track. This song was none other than Kid Cudi's hit song, Pursuit of Happiness. I'm on the pursuit of happiness, and I know everything that shines ain't always gonna be gold. A song from an artist I would grow to appreciate while seemingly the world was growing disdain for him. Today, I want to delve deep into the discography of Kid Cudi as we try to understand the message and world of his music, along the way learning about his own artistic and personal journey while understanding what caused him to be outcasted by many hip-hop fans despite the immense influence he has had on especially modern hip-hop. So strap on in as I bring you along on my deep dive on Kid Cudi. Enjoy! She can if she bring her friend, and we can have one hell of a night through the day. Hey, I mean stand like a group because you gotta be Before we get into the music itself, we need to go back to a Babe clothing store in New York, where a young Scott Cudi, who had just left his life behind in Cleveland, Ohio in 2005, was pursuing something more with a measly $500 and a demo tape. The reason Cudi was doing all this was because he was ultra focused on pursuing a music career, and after spending a while working in a couple of clothing stores, Cudi would eventually befriend producer and longtime collaborator Dr. Genius, who would become a large part of the soundscape Scott would explore throughout all his career. This would be a crucial moment in terms of where Scott would go in his career long term, but nobody would come close to the huge impact a certain customer would have who walked into the Babe store one day in 2006. This customer being none other than Kanye West.
I like some of the Gaga songs. What the fuck does she know about camera?
I ain't got the answer, Sway.
Kanye.
I've been doing this more than you.
What hospital and what media it went to? We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor.
While at the time being just a brief encounter with a random stranger for Kanye, he had just met a man who would not only greatly change the direction of his career, but hip-hop as a whole. Cudi actually went for it and asked to be signed on the spot, likely overzealous with the opportunity at hand here, but that gambit didn't quite work out, and Scott would have to prove himself to truly get noticed by the industry as a whole. He would spend the next year or so releasing music and singles on the growing music platforms on the early 2000s, such as MySpace, naturally growing his audience through blogs. During this era of his career, he'd finally start to grab the attention of some blogs and large industry veterans through some buzz created by the track you all know and love, Day and Night. Day and night. I toss and turn, I keep stressing my mind. I look for peace, but see I don't attain. Interestingly enough, Cudi didn't have much of a very hands-on approach with hitting up blogs and such with this song, and in fact, he lacked a computer to really promote the song much of the time. This song truly grew on its own through some of the most natural word of mouth you could ask for. Cudi and his at the time manager would eventually of course notice this, and attempted to leverage this to get some opportunities rolling, leading him to working on his own mixtape and becoming a writer and vocal reference on hooks for artists such as Jay-Z and reuniting him once again with Kanye, but this time it would go a bit different.
And Plain Pat calls me up and he's like, yo, so Kanye wants you to come to Hawaii. I fucking landed over there. I was just like, damn, we just flew over this motherfucker. And, I was always wondering what it was like down there. So now you go and see. And then I'm talking about walking into the studio. I already met him in passing, but this was like the actual, like, up close and personal. Yo, what's up? Welcome, man. Hey, you ready? I'm like, yeah. All right, I got some beats I'm gonna give you on the jump drive. I was smoking Newports at the time, so I go out on the patio. I'm sitting out there just like, So fucking nervous. I got my laptop set up. He comes out with the jump drive. He's like, just have fun. I'm like, all right. I start vibing. It's like 8 of the most wonderful beats. I think like 7 of them we used on that album. I think they all got used. And first, beat I listened to, I'm like, all right, this shit is dope as fuck. Of course, it's Kanye West. All right, yeah. What the fuck am I gonna do? This is like, like, and this is not like. It's like, hey man, we're working on Blueprint 3. We want you to write hooks. And that is the song, essentially. Go. No deal, really. We were kind of still figuring it out, but no deal. And I think I was like, kind of vibing for about 5-10 minutes. He comes back. He's like, so what you got? And I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh man, I got like one idea. I don't know if it's any good. But he's like, just tell me, what is it? And I was just like, okay. He's like, oh, you want me to fall from top? You want me to drop? You want me to stop? You want me to go? All right, go in the booth and lay it down right now.
This meeting would also lead him to sharing his upcoming mixtape, which would greatly impress Kanye with how united their visions for the future of music were, leading him to be signed to the Good Music label. It's really not hard to see why too with the tape itself, titled A Kid Named Cudi, having a lot of standout moments and interesting sonic diversions that would be very telling of the era of rap to come. Tracks like The Prayer, Man on the Moon, and of course the hit Day and Night showcase an interesting sonic direction for a new rapper hitting the scene in 2008. The tape has this almost NASA-esque aesthetic it takes on, very much embracing influences ranging from nerd to even some Lupe Fiasco. Guitar strings, weird-ass samples, spacey strings, and a strong sense of cohesive theming are really impressive for an artist at this point in his career, and again, it's no wonder someone like Kanye saw the potential in him. This mixtape hitting the scene alongside a feature on Jay-Z's The Blueprint 3, and an immense behind-the-scenes work and influence on Kanye's emotional 808s and heartbreak would grab the attention of many, the track Day and Night in particular grabbing the ears of the masses and taking him for a ride that would solidify many as fans. Cudi was just getting started though, and was paving the way for a new kind of rapper in the midst of an extremely prolific at the time bling era of rap. He was sonically pulling from places many wouldn't even dare to explore, and was touching on a type of mentality and loneliness that many at the time didn't really want to touch on in fear of being weak. Little did they know, this was just warming the public up for his huge debut and my personal favorite rap album of all time, Man on the Moon, The End of Day.
I got 99 problems and they out bitches. Wish I was Jigga Man. Carefree living, but I'm not Sean or Martin Luther.
Man on the Moon is an absolute classic. The album's lyrical subject matter tackles themes of loneliness and mental health, further delving into details about Cudi's father's death and leading Cudi to finding solace in escapism and encouraging the listener to join him on this journey away from all this pain and suffering as if he's the rap version of Peter Pan. I think this particular quote from Cudi discussing the concept of the record really puts it best. The moon is pretty much my place of peace. Whether it's a room or my mind, it's really your own personal space. It can be interpreted any different way. I didn't want to have it so literal. I want kids to interpret it and find their own moon in their world. Sonically, the record is lush with strained synth-rich instrumentation, not afraid to indulge in the cinematic. Elements of 70s and 80s synthwave rock peer in with these bumping 808 drum sections and vast strings that really give an experience that feels timeless. Cudi allows the instrumentation on this record to really thrive and uses his singing and rapping almost as an instrumental through line, allowing him to be engulfed in this world and journey in this really immersive way. Some of my favorites from this record are Solo Dolo, which has this weird, almost atmospheric sound to it that's almost haunting, but it's catchy in this really unique way. Heart of a Lion has this bumping forwardness to it that makes it feel like you're marching towards something. And when you finally hit that chorus, it has these soaring synths that just have this really unique sound that I absolutely adore. The track Sky Might Fall has some immense Kanye influence with the drums, with these synths that almost feels like something from Graduation, but evolved to be more unique and Cudi. His singing, while not the greatest, empowers you still, and it really drives you forward throughout the album. The album is just a really good, feel-good, almost therapeutic experience. The track Cudi Zone has these amazing strings. It feels like you're just a god at this point while listening to this album. And the braggadocious Make Her Say that follows this up just makes it feel like a feel-good, awesome, nostalgic record. The track Pursuit of Happiness is an absolute classic, with it being this sad boy anthem with honestly a fantastic MGMT inclusion. The instrumentation once again is fantastic and probably some of the best I've heard on any rap record ever. Up Up and Away and Man on the Moon work as a fantastic thematic conclusion to this entire album, and sonically again are fantastic send-offs to the entire record, with Up Up and Away being this more rock-oriented track, while Man on the Moon gets more introspective, a little darker, but as beautiful as the rest of the record. This album immensely impacted many, instantly becoming a classic album that spoke to those in mentally bad spots and helped lift them into better places, and Cudi became aware of this, and internal pressure started to build. Cudi now had the pressure to continue speaking to this crowd of loners and impacting their lives for the better. This, alongside him internalizing and not really dealing with his own demons, resulted in him going into a lot more of a darker lane with his sophomore 2010 album, Man on the Moon 2, The Legend of Mr. Rager.
Whoa now. Hey, Mr. Rager, Mr. Rager, tell me where you go.
The second album is a lot darker both sonically and lyrically, more blatantly putting his own cry for help on display while starting to show some of the cracks of his own escapism. The track Mr. Rager is a perfect example of this, showcasing this hope to become a lot like those fans he'd helped with his own art and attempting to achieve the same solace in himself. But tracks like Marijuana and Trapped in My Mind hit with the brutal truth that he isn't succeeding in this and is getting caught up in the pressure of the celebrity life and secretly turning to drugs as a way to cope. This lonely, untreated drug addiction caused him to find relatability in figures in similar positions as him, most notably the late Kurt Cobain of Nirvana fame, who would sonically affect Cudi's future work a lot more going forward. He started to learn the guitar around this time with the long-lasting producer and collaborator Dr. Genius, and they found a passion for this kind of sound, leading to the formation of the short-lived rock project Wizard. Sonically, a lot of the songs on Wizard were a mix of the synths from Man on the Moon 2, but with more in-your-face rock guitars featured in every song. This album fully leans into the drugs and sex-filled escapism from some of the cuts from Cudi's sophomore record, and would feature him exploring his vocal range. The record almost serves as this precursor to the rock direction he would explore even further much later, but generally has a more accessible palette that I would like to see him maybe attempt again someday. Tensions with him and Kanye's Good Music label would rise around this time too, as he felt he wasn't being given the support needed by them, leading to a bit of a drift between him and Kanye after only loosely being featured on the Cruel Summer compilation record. Thanks to these factors, Cudi would go into this next project with more of an independent mindset, using his skills built from Wizard and mostly self-producing his third studio album, Indicud. This album is probably Cudi's most underrated by wider audiences, with a sonically rougher experimental sound and very eclectic delivery, jumping around from one of the most weird sounding Kendrick Lamar features ever on Solo Dolo Part 2 to the song Immortal, featuring a reverse MGMT sample as this cool backing guitar sound throughout the entire song. The album also features some very abrasive chorus and vocal effects that kind of remind me of older Eminem, but with far better execution. Tracks like the all-time classic Just What I Am feature these loud, drony synth bass noises that complement Cudi's pre-chorus and explode into this very unique sound. In fact, this entire album has the sound I have yet to see be replicated. It's one of his deeper cut albums that I would recommend to the modern, avid music listener willing to deal with more eclectic structures and somewhat messy mixing. His next record was a shadow drop that would serve as what you would plan to be a prelude to the third Man on the Moon entry, titled Satellite Flight, that would explore a blend of nearly all the sounds Cudi had explored up to this point, while introducing what we know now as his iconic Cudi hums. These would serve as almost additional layering to his songs that would create this otherworldly vocal experience. The album also featured sprinkles of Kanye influence throughout, often being versions of songs he was planning on collaborating with him on that evolved into something else, such as in the case of the iconic Too Bad I Have to Destroy You Now. The track Guilt Trip from Kanye West's Yeezus was also likely a result of these sessions the two had, as Cudi would be shocked to find out he was featured on that song without his consent after its public release. The relationship between the two artists was obviously strained and would go through a lot more hardship over time. There's a lot of uncertainty with this record, and it's kind of this depressing void of an album that explores some really interesting concepts from Cudi, with the album noticeably ending on the somber Troubled Boy that almost teases the mental descent that is his next record. 2015's Speedin' Bullet to Heaven is probably one of Cudi's most infamous records due to its negative public reception. Cudi has described this record as his cry for help, a record made in quite possibly his darkest time as an artist, and it very much shows. This hour-and-a-half album is one of the most draining I've ever been through, with it having the most scattered tones. The album whiplashes you with obnoxious Beavis and Butthead skits between lyrically depressing, vocally messy grunge tracks inspired by Cobain's Montage of Heck recordings. This record most notably would also be released the day after he let the public know he'd be checking himself into a rehab center for his growing mental health and drug problems, and serves as his footnote moment where Cudi finally decided to face his demons and get the help he needed, all while getting out that pain he needed on a very telling album. I may not be the biggest fan of this record, and I'm mostly on the side of the masses except for a couple of highlights. I appreciate what Cudi did here, and give him props for being as vulnerable as he was here. Honestly, it takes a lot of courage to put out a record like this, and still stand by it to this day, which probably was helpful when he finally tackled his demons in rehab, and came back with one of my favorite albums from him.
Who you are, how could it be? All they ever wanted was to find some inner peace.
Passion, Pain, and Demon Slayin is a gorgeous record that starred what I consider to be modern Cudi. Due to a stroke he suffered in 2016 in rehab, he lost his ability to speak and had to recover, resulting in his voice kind of having this deeper, somewhat more mumbly delivery on some songs, and it's kind of sick. The dude not only mentally has evolved on the record to be more ambitious to crawl out of this hole, but he is also in the sound department evolved and grown into this age of modern trap inspired rappers such as longtime fan Travis Scott. In fact, this record is at points almost a blend of this early Travis with moments of classic escapist Cudi, lyrically rapping about taking command of his life. Tracks like The Commander, Surfin', By Design, and Rose Golden are some of my all-time favorite tracks from Cudi, with him showcasing confidence in his sound, his mental health, and his future in a way not seen before. But Cudi was just getting started on this new mentality as an old friend of his was falling down a similar path to him, resulting in Cudi reconnecting with Kanye and them both tackling their emotional traumas together through therapy. This bond formed here would motivate the two to get everything they were feeling together onto wax, leading them to form an all-time legendary rap duo named Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi is an exorcism of the inner pain both Kanye and Cudi had harbored over the years from their own addictions, loss of parental figures, and the struggles of mental illness. The album was released as a part of Kanye's weekly album rollout during 2018, and thanks to this format, the album is a short 7-track, all-killer, no-filler record full of back-to-back creativity. The album carries over that rock influence in its beats throughout the entire record, while also having that Kanye polish and budget that allows for insane tracks like Cudi Montage, which samples Cobain's Burn the Rain. All while having both of these artists lyrically and sonically locked in for some of their best work, period. The opener Feel the Love has Kanye vocally experimenting in ways he has never done before, with him doing this vocal scatting with the drums that creates this explosion of sonic color and sets the tone for the record. Free is almost this throwback to Cudi's Wizard days, with this interpolation of the song Ghost Town off of Kanye's album that dropped only a week prior, and stands out as one of the big growers for me off this record. The track Reborn is a thesis on the evolved state of mind the two went through with therapy. containing one of Cudi's most iconic choruses, all while having the two artists absolutely spilling their guts out on this song. The album on release was beloved by many, considering it to be one of the best hip-hop records of the 2010s, solidifying it as a modern classic that would stand out as some of the two artists' best work to date. Cudi would use this moment of artistic rebirth as fuel for what's to come, leading him to finally drop a long-awaited sequel fans have been waiting for years. Man on the Moon 3, The Chosen, is a return to form for Cudi with a modern evolution on the sound from those first two Man on the Moon albums, lyrically serving as this moment where he fights against the nihilistic self-hating Mr. Rager stage name and alter ego from his second album, and finishes out this trilogy with a fucking bang. Solo Dolo Part 3 is one of the most dreamy tracks he's ever done, with these hoarse screams and large soundscapes that create this immersive end-of-the-world beauty. It's an all-time best for Cudi, and is one of my most revisited tracks from his entire discography. Songs like The Pale Moonlight are this Cudi version of modern synth-infused trap popularized by protege Travis Scott, but with a more melodic and in-your-face presence. The album is extremely solid and feels like a very marketable and wider appeal Cudi that shows off the experience he has as a rapper with braggadocio and confidence we really haven't seen from the dude since his debut and breakout mixtape, and it's genuinely refreshing. This mixed with a prominent timeless Mike Dean and Dr. Genius production makes this record one I see aging extremely well and being appreciated by wider audiences a lot more as time goes on. But Cudi around this time started to get a lot of pushback from the wider rap community, after getting into a bit of beef with Kanye following one of his classic unhinged rants, resulting in a bit of a drift from the fans who purely came from that Kid Cudi Ghost record. This mixed with him filling in for Kanye at the Rolling Loud Miami festival after Ye did his classic last minute change of schedule, resulting in him getting unnecessarily disrespected by audiences, getting to the point where he had to walk off stage because Kanye fans were booing and throwing shit at him. This led him to the point of him not really wanting to make music or interact with his audience anymore, pushing him into pursuing stuff like acting and creating the Into the Spider-Verse styled show Intergalactic, which also had this accompanying soundtrack album all about love and the many themes and ideas shared in the movie. This spot in his career, people really started to turn on the dude for honestly such little stupid things, and honestly, I don't know why. The dude consistently has treated his fans correctly, pushed the boundaries of music, and lyrically is far from the worst rapper out there. I genuinely get kind of sad when people online consistently tease and shit on the dude on social media anytime he releases music because of petty rap beefs that aren't even relevant anymore, and constantly trying to invalidate the things he's done on record by record. Intergalactic, in terms of the record itself, is extremely well produced, well sung, and emotionally hits some great summer vibey moments that Cudi hasn't experimented with. Ignite the Love is an anthemic love track with these awesome synthy guitar strings that just pop. Can't Shake Her is a modern version of Satellite Flight with these weird otherworldly synth and hard drums that are an absolute vibe, but with the additional Cudi vocal experience, it gets elevated to a fantastic level. The bonus track Bro is an electronic fun-ass song that uses the great vocal chemistry of Don Toliver and Kid Cudi that was previously displayed on songs such as Moon from Kanye's Donda album, and puts it on some more upbeat, lively Steve Aoki production that just makes you want to get up and dance. The song may have helped awaken something inside of Cudi, and helped him awaken a mindset where he uses all this hate he's been getting to push his art forward, leading him to his most recent Insano album. Insano is Cudi in a mentality where he finally achieved that inner peace and is celebrating the happiness he feels in his life. Funky Lizard Smoke has his end of a summer comedy rolling credits type vibe I absolutely fuck with. The slowed down vocals give some classic Bone Thugs and harmony mixed with 3-6 Mafia vibes, and take me back to an era of the early 2000s I just don't see much discussion about online. Electrowave Baby uses this classic Ace of Base sample that lends itself well to Cudi's more melodic singing throughout the track that once again just feels like an encapsulation of hot summer fun. DJ Drama contributes a lot to the sound of this album too, making you feel like you're on some outdoor outing, and it makes me super excited to see how this project is performed. Blue Sky is classic Cudi, but with more of that happy twist I've been emphasizing hard when discussing this project. This alongside the second deluxe Insano album that adds highlights such as I Just Wanna Get, which features Bone Thugs and Harmony along Steve Aoki and Superboy, feels like a proper evolution of a really good book closer to the story of Kid Cudi's music career. Obviously, the dude isn't gonna stop making music anytime soon, and he's gonna continue to push the industry forward and evolve his own sound and mindset with every project, but it's extremely interesting to see how far he's come. In fact, I think Cudi felt the same way with the inclusion of some unreleased songs like Rocket from 2011 and Dose of Dopeness from 2007 that show an overall artistic and lyrical growth from someone of ambitions of becoming much more, finally reaching an artistic solace and comfort with himself both as Kid Cudi the rapper and Scott Cudi the person. The message and emotional resonance Cudi has had with his music is one that has genuinely helped me in spots where I was at my lowest in life. Cudi was always a voice, even as a kid, that resonated with me and challenged me to face my demons and hard truths of my life with colorful explorations of escapism and ambition to become not just more as a person, but as an artist. Despite the constant dismissal from both general rap critics and fans, I feel like fans and artists within the field have found solace in the honesty Scott presented on these records and has likely helped a lot of people find their own path. This, to me at least, is why I find Kid Cudi to be hip-hop's stigmatized honesty and my favorite rapper of all time. Thank you guys for sticking around for a bit of a different video than I'm used to making in an artistic field I haven't covered before. This is a bit of a risk with how the algorithm is and my general output speed, but I just like to put stuff I enjoy making out there. Hopefully me talking about one of my favorite musicians of all time here has both entertained and informed you in ways that either made you want to explore Cudi's music or maybe rethink the way you engage with his work. My goal here is to recontextualize the art you enjoy and engage with in new ways, and I hope at least some of you were able to walk away with this mindset. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, or maybe donate to my Patreon to help fund my future content. Thank you guys once again for hopping on by. This is Sleep, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye!